Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama for blessings and protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer, please stand. Taka amahara ni sumarimasu. Kamuromi kamuromi no mikoto mochite. Sumemi oya kamu izanagi no mikoto. Tsukushi no imuka no tachibana no. Odo no amagi hara ni. Misogi harai kamo. Toki ni narimaseru. Arai dono o kamikachi moro moro no magagoto tsumike kari o arai tamai iyome tamai tonga o sukoto no yoshi o Amatsu kami umitsu kami ao yorosu no kami tachi tomo ni ame no fuji mano mimi furi tatete kikoshi meseto kashikomi mumaosu Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie mi oya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Oshie mi oya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae Kum nagara tamachi haemase. Kum nagara tamachi haemase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Seated, we will now receive group Johrei. Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. Humanity's mission. God gave us life, precious life. Let us respect and treasure it by living in harmony with God's divine law. Every soul is an individual part of God's total self. Let us cleanse our souls and restore them to their divine state. One who is aware of how precious and priceless life is realizes God's divine nature within, our true spiritual essence. A human being, often called a child, is also referred to as God's temple. This is because a person's soul, the center of his or her being, is an individualized part of God that has come to earth with a mission assigned by God. The soul is also referred to as the primary spirit. After birth, another spirit, which is animalistic in nature, enters the body. It is called the secondary spirit. Since the primary spirit is divine in nature, it is the center of spiritual consciousness. The secondary spirit is the exact opposite, the source of all negative ideas. There is yet another spirit in contact with an individual. It is the guardian spirit. In Japan, it is selected from among the individual's ancestors at birth. From the spiritual realm, it protects and guides the person in its charge. The secondary spirit encourages the person to act wrongfully, while the guardian spirit tries to guide the person to do virtuous deeds. But above both of these is the primary spirit, which instructs the person to do only good and virtuous acts. Therefore, it is important to strengthen the power of one's primary spirit. This power is fundamental to the conquering of negativity. Each person should strive always to strengthen their primary spirit. The best way to achieve this is to pray to God and deepen one's faith. This is the only path to attain true happiness.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters. All those who are attending online from United States, from Canada, from Brazil, from Mozambique, Africa, and many other countries as well. This evening, I would like to share this faith experience. It is from Carlos Alejandro Binder Andrade. He's from Chile. Carlos Alejandro lives in Puerto Montt. 10 years ago, he was introduced to Meishu-sama by a friend with whom he had a lot of trust, and that constantly channeled Johrei to Carlos, because at that time, he was very frustrated due to various sufferings that he could not let go of. He began attending the Johrei Center daily with great faith, and as everything began to improve, he felt calmer and especially grateful to God and Meishu-sama for all his blessings, having the permission to receive the sacred focal point or Hikari on June of 2012. During this time, everything was going very well. He dedicated almost daily, enshrined his ancestors, and made an effort to materialize his gratitude through daily donations. Also, he started a business to increase his income and had constant work, feeling really blessed. At that time, when he went out to do some shopping very late at night, he was assaulted by 3 individuals. But by ironies of life, he was the one arrested for defending himself. And the next day, he had to go to court, being forced to apologize to the assailants. because the case was considered as a quote unquote fight between friends. Carlos had always had a very aggressive character, but after that event, he was guided to receive Johrei daily. He also took a turn to officiate the opening and closing prayer of the Johrei Center. He did daily mitama migaki, which is the cleaning one's surroundings for soul polishing. He channeled Johrei and gave service in whatever was necessary. All this practice with the aim of purifying his own spirit and polishing his character. In 2013, his wife became pregnant with their first child, a news that made them very happy while preparing to receive their baby in the best way they could. Thus, the day of delivery arrived, but unfortunately, there were some complications. His wife had hemorrhage that brought her to the brink of death, so she was unable to meet their son immediately. She was unable to meet their son immediately after his birth. During this time, Carlos channeled Johrei to him as much as he could, since he also had to constantly go to the newborn's ward to feed and move Dante, their son. Finally, she had the medical authorization to meet Dante. However, 6 days after his discharge, Dante was diagnosed with bronchiolitis and was sent to the ICU for 3 days. These were hours of great anguish. Carlos and his wife exchanged Johrei to each other and prayed with great faith for Dante's recovery. Finally, his health was restored and they were able to return home together. 6 months after Dante's birth, Carlos had to give up the house they were renting, since money was not enough, so they had to go live with their in-laws. His son's health coverage needs were beyond Carlos, so he had to look for a contract job in mid-2014, which would allow him to have a fixed monthly income. 2016, after 2 years of work at the hotel, he was laid off without previous notice, so he began supporting his wife in her fast food business, supporting her in the deliveries and in the business organization. 2017, he was able to return to the path of our faith and received the permission to resume the practice of Johrei, which brought new opportunities into his life that previously seemed impossible to him. That same year, he made the decision to find his own career path, and he took a month to put together a plan and start from scratch. This is related to art. Throughout all his childhood and youth, he was committed to the plastic arts, but put them aside and when he entered the gastronomy career. Now, he began doing art again, specifically tattoo art, which appears as a new opportunity for work and livelihood. With the permission of God and Meishu-sama, he was able to receive a certification as a tattoo artist, authorized by the Ministry of Health, and was also able to open his own studio with great joy and always with the feeling that his work would bring happiness to others. The first 2 years were somewhat complex, since he could not attract clients, and the income was just enough for basic expenses. He received the guidance to materialize his gratitude, constantly and with sincerity, for the permissions and blessings received. Carlos admits that his understanding regarding gratitude offerings at the time was very limited, and it took a lot of effort to detach himself from his hard-earned money. However, he was determined to adhere to the practice of offering donations of gratitude on a daily and monthly basis, as well as actively participate in the Johrei practice and meetings to study the teachings. Over time, he realized that everything began to take a different direction, and he was very grateful to be able to give service to the divine work. In June 2019, one night, while making a food delivery with his wife, they were assaulted He was injured multiple times, and their car was stolen. Happily, his wife did not suffer any injuries. The police acted quickly and were able to recover his vehicle and arrest the assailants. Once again, they felt the protection of God and Meishu-sama into their lives. The day after what happened, he received a guidance from his minister, who helped him understand that these episodes were purifying processes for him and that he should do his best to be grateful for all these situations, since they were being allowed by God for his spiritual growth. Thanks to this guidance, he decided to sacredly fulfill his daily gratitude. But he fell into a mistake since not being able to work due to his injuries. He borrowed a daily amount, which he knew he could return immediately when he resumed his work. This with the aim of continuing to fulfill his offering of gratitude. When he mentioned this to the minister clarified something very important to Carlos, and his words are still as clear to Carlos today as they were on that day. The minister said, "Carlos, God knows about your situation, and He will never demand from you what you cannot deliver. When you can return to your work, that's when you will be able to materialize your gratitude again." Thus the recovery time passed, and he returned to his parlor to work, and also began to give Johrei to those who needed it, with the feeling of serving and being useful to the divine work, resuming his practice of providing offerings of gratitude, and everything began to take a good course again. Then came the social outbreak of October 2019, but despite not being able to work for 2 full months, he could barely reopen his studio. The jobs began to arrive without him trying too hard, since his clients highly recommended his work, considering his services a very professional one. In addition, all his clients expressed their gratitude to him for being able to capture art on their skin. It is really a pleasant moment for him every time he finishes a job to see the expression of joy and happiness of his clients. Carlos began to set aside 10% of all his income daily and offer it in the monthly appreciation service as a way to actively participate in the divine work and in gratitude for all that God and Meishu-sama are granting to him and his family. Thus, the entire year 2020 went smoothly, despite the pandemic, since he was able to continue working, dedicating within the imposed limitations by the local authorities, and daily expressing his gratitude. In February of this year, Carlos, his wife, and son contracted COVID-19, but they had no major health complications. During the quarantine period, they felt very protected by God and Meishu-sama at all times. Once the quarantine was over, he went back to work, and now everything is going very well. The three of them are in good health and participate as a family in the appreciation services. He's assisting a couple of people who sought to receive Johrei, always with the feeling to serve the divine work. Carlos is very grateful to God and Meishu-sama for all the blessings received, for allowing him to serve in this wonderful work, and for the permission to materialize his daily monetary offering of gratitude, a practice that opened the way to prosperity in their lives. Thank you very much for attending this evening service of the Miroku Association. Wish a very blessed evening, a very wonderful Sunday. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion our evening service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed evening.